What does maturity mean? That's what we'll be talking a little bit about in today's poetry discussion. Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will take place, of course, in the poetry discussion playlist. The poem in question today, Fern Hill by Dylan Thomas, and it reads as such. Now, as I was young and easy under the apple boughs about the lilting house, and happy as the grass was green, the night above the dingle starry, time let me hail and climb, golden in the heydays of his eyes, and honored among wagons I was prince of the apple towns, and once below a time I lordly had the trees and leaves trail with daisies and barley down the rivers of the windfall light. And as I was green and carefree among the barns about the happy yard, and singing as the farm was home in the sun that is young once only, time let me play and be golden in the mercy of his means. And green and golden I was huntsman and herdsman the calves sang to my horn, the foxes on the hills barked clear and cold, and the Sabbath rang slowly in the pebbles of the holy streams. All the sun long it was running, it was lovely, the hay fields high as the house, the tunes from the chimneys. It was air and playing, lovely and watery, and fire green as grass, and nightly under the simple stars, as I rode to sleep, the owls were bearing the farm away. All the moon long I heard, blessed among stables, the night jars flying with the ricks and the horses flashing into the dark, and then to awake and the farm like a wanderer white with the dew come back, the cock on his shoulder. It was all shining, it was Adam and maiden, the sky gathered again, and the sun grew round that very day. So it must have been after the birth of the simple light, in the first spinning place, the spellbound horses walking warm out of the whinnying green stable onto the fields of praise, and honored among foxes and pheasants by the gay house under the new made clouds, and happy as the heart was long. In the sun born over and over, I ran my heedless ways. My wishes raced through the house, high hay, and nothing I cared. At my sky blue trades, that time allows in all his tuneful turning, so few and such morning songs. Before the children green and golden follow him out of grace. Nothing I cared in the lamb white days, that time would take me up to the swallow thronged loft by the shadow of my hand. In the moon that is always rising, nor that riding to sleep, I should hear him fly with the high fields, and wake the farm forever fled from the childless land. Oh, as I was young and easy in the mercy of his means, time held me green and dying, though I sang in my chains like the sea. Oftentimes, the discussion of this poem centers around the youth and innocence of our speaker, or the youth and innocence of our speaker at the time of the setting of this poem. But I think it may be worth also examining the opposite, the obverse of that coin, if you will. This poem channels time and again, time and again, time and again, young and easy Um, we go up just a little bit. Nothing I cared in the lamb white days. I ran my heedless ways. Over and over again. Well, maybe not that stanza. We have these references to what it means to be young, green and carefree. We have all of these inferences to youth and innocence, young and easy under the apple boughs. So, in my opinion, it is worth. So, if young and innocent is a thing, and older and mature, or older and experienced, or older and sullied, young and innocent, old and sullied would be the opposite of both words, but we don't always sort of do the math in that fashion. We don't always add something like sinful or sullied or broken to the older claim. We simply say experienced or mature, but why? So in the sort of discussions of this poem that circle around something like youth and innocence, as the poem itself seems to delineate, seems to coagulate youth and innocence together, there is the assumption that the opposite of young and innocent is older and not innocent. We don't have to put the blame on. We don't have to put the sinful or the sullied or the broken or whatever it is that you want to put on to, however it is that you want to say less than pure, right? We don't have to do that. But the assumption is there that it is not innocent. The opposite of young is uninnocent. And oftentimes, as we see in this poem, innocence and being carefree are presumed to be the same thing as well. Green and carefree. We see some refrain often in this poem again and again. With young, we have some idea of carelessness, of heedlessness. All of these things suggest there's a turning point from young to older, from innocent, from carefree to uninnocent, if you want it that way, and careful. So it is strange to see all of these things conflated together in this way. Where would be that turning point? What is the moment that young and carefree becomes old and careful? As someone who is now 38, nearly 39 years old, I have to tell you that it does not feel like a process. There was not a time where I was not young but not old. It felt like I was young until I woke up one morning and realized, oh, I'm an old guy. I was not carefree until there was not a time where I went from carefree to careful. The care stage, I don't think exists for many people. You go from carefree to careful, but what is that moment? So in the hero's journey, there is a moment where the hero is called to action. Now, the hero can accept that call or deny that call. There are plenty of stories where the hero says, no, thank you. Only to be coaxed out of it later, otherwise there's no real story. Here's what I suggest, if I deign to do so. Many people will face in their life the call to action. They probably will not see it as much. I think that's fair to say. I don't think that we are able to recognize these literary moments in our own lives when they happen because they are happening without context. They're happening in the moment, and we don't have all of the sort of perspective on them of having hindsight's 2020, right? The old cliche. We don't have that perspective when these decisions are being made. In literature, the call to action is when young and innocent becomes moderately aged and caring. It is not until that hero becomes the wise old master himself, herself, etc., that it is indeed, they are indeed, I suppose I should say, old and careful. Many of us do not experience the hero's journey in our own lives. We dumb it down. We stuff it away. We deny it outright. And in that moment, we transition from young and carefree to old and careful. We do not have the appropriately aged and caring time frame in our life. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, there is poetry on the channel every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.